I missed. Yep. Alrighty, well, hey folks. So it is Farm Tour Tuesday, and it's actually Tuesday morning. So when you're watching this, odds are I got all three of these videos live at roughly the same time, which means you will get to immediately see follow-up to Toast is Over Here, which you got to see in the first of those three. And you also get answers to my pig Tetris and how I resolved that, like immediately after me posing you the question of, hey, if you got suggestions, go ahead and give it. So we've got Toast over here in the quarantine yard, which is that plus this whole side yard that you can see, the two mulberries. This barn has to come down. It is just falling apart. I would not recommend getting these to use as livestock shelters in any form or fashion. A lot of the damage originally came from our goats. Our dairy goats beat the heck out of this thing, and then the pigs didn't help. So it is what it is. It needs to be torn down. It's part of the fence though, like there's no fence behind it. So I've got these extra posts in, and we're gonna be putting a hog panel there. Yeah, that has to happen this week because it just really needs gone. Scrap run. But this yard really badly needs to not have animals in it. You could, like, there's nothing in here. That's back there has grass that's pushed down, but all the front where everyone has always paced when they're in here, nice big wallow. Sorry, zoom back out, is just destroyed. This is one of those things where once he's out of here, probably this whole growing season, this spring when it starts in, he's over here to get him away from the ladies for 2 months to make sure we can try to remove any extra scatol and androsterone in his meat, or in his fat really. So yeah, and in the intramuscular fat, so that when we process him, fingers crossed, there's no taint. I still haven't done a biopsy on him, so we got to do that, but hopefully that'll do it. And then honestly, after that, we're gonna heavily seed this area this spring. He'll be gone before February's out, so before winter's over. And then, so like right before February's over is the goal. And then this area is gonna get heavily seeded, strawed, or probably hayed, because I'll have hay. Same with hay as we've been using. And I'm gonna just try to not touch this with pigs this entire season, maybe in August. Like, that is my goal. Just leave this alone, let it go crazy and wild for an entire season to recover from this, let it go fallow. So that is the goal. All right, Toast, catch you later, bud. Here you go, for you guys wondering too, because you got to meet the field dogs, but not the ones that are up at the house right now. This is Denver. He's our Humane Society Pyrenees something or other mix. They think he's Pyrenees. He looks like a black Pyrenees, which doesn't exist. No, but he looks exactly like them in every way except he's black, and he's a big wuss. Isn't that right, Mr. Denver? So he stays up at the house with us. He's our travel around, go places dog, more often than the field dogs do. They get to pretty frequently, but not as often as him. And then here is Pen. She Denver, jealous much? She is our last puppy from that last litter, and she's staying with us. That's her name. Her name is Pen, short for Penance. She is our penance for breeding puppies. Yes, Miss Pen. So she will be staying with us. We have grown quite attached and are not going to sell her. So yes, there you go. Now you has met all of our dogs. Alright guys, the pigs won't fed. So the piglets had the L, which means they have this yard too. They've been really enjoying using that shelter instead of the other one. Lower roof, closer together walls, not as much of a draft. So they've been enjoying it. I'm gonna feed them now. So I'm still feeding them in their weaning yard, just because it's concrete, so that is nicer, so they're not working up mud. But then it means I have to try to work the last few around. Although, there goes the little lady. She is definitely the smartest. I like her. Everybody else, I'm gonna have to walk around here and we'll lure them in. We'll wait for her to come in. Come on through, little lady. Good job. Ugh, and I keep pulling these up. This old foundation here, everybody keeps finding a little tag of the plastic vapor barrier and they pull it up. I go through about once a week this time of year when there are pigs in here, and I pull up all the pieces I can and throw them away, but there's always little tags I can't quite get because they're underneath the sod layer. Then a pig finds it and plays with it and drags it around. So I'll pick these up at the end of chores that are over here invisible. We need to grab these guys real quick. Beautiful sunrise this morning. Come on, guys. See, they've got decent ground cover, not forage in here, but ground cover. And those guys are moved. And those guys are moved. We'll get to them in a few. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. Come on, little tubby. Come on, tubby. I think that's the tubby lady, not the tubby guy. Maybe the tubby guy. You're so fat. Come on. Come on. What does that run for? What does that run? Oh, and the dogs are over here now. Let's go, guys. All right, there we go. So that's the piglet. They're just getting fed in here, but they have an A-frame and they have all of that too. All of that as it circles around, and this little yard now. So they've got all of that to wander and explore, and there is some grass over there, but not enough to really matter. Just enough that they have some space and some more things to play and chew on. So, all right. You saw that we got the one castrated. He got ear tagged, and everybody got ivermected. In that last updated video of me just trying to do some farm chores and getting them done, some farm tasks. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch that first, and then come back and watch this. I would recommend watching that first, the farm task getting caught up. Then last week's Farm Tour Tuesday, it's really short, and then today's. So if you made it this far into the video before me saying that, I'm super sorry. But I would definitely watch it in that order of the 3 videos I'm uploading. So we've just been having terrible uploading issues this week, and nothing wanted to upload. It kept like getting most of the way there, and then it would cancel the upload. So sorry. All right, there's all the funsies from these little fellas and ladies, mostly ladies, I think. But all right, we're gonna move on to the next group. What's up, guys? Good morning. If you don't remember, Mazikeen, Griffin, Willow, Venus. Yes. They are moved over here to where Red and his fellows were. Ladies, not fellas. I would never have many piglets that way. So, plenty to romp around and play in. You can see that hay bale has been reduced to nothing. So, that was my main reason for going ahead and getting this move done. So, they are out and over here. Here they are. They have this one now, that way they have that bale. You can see tons of taller grass clumps all throughout the back. Not a whole lot of actual forage, but more than there is over in this one. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and have to stop recording so I can toss their feed to them. All right, feed toss. I'm just trying to hit it as close to that bale as possible. I would go in there. I have no reason to not go in there with them except walk around this tree. Their gate is just kind of a pain in the butt. I haven't ran under a buried wire yet. Just need to do that. So the wire connects across, and there's a cattle panel section stabbed into the ground here because, yes, you know it's you, and you, mister, dig underneath there. And so then they go just wherever the heck they want, because once they get under this one, then they can get underneath that one way down there, which you can see that barrel has fallen since yesterday. Looks like that brick is now over in this bottom corner, so that's fantastic. It doesn't matter. I didn't want them to have to keep walking through that as wet as it was anyways. It wasn't that wet, but we got some rain the last couple days, so oh well. Got to pull that barrel up, out, and move it over here this evening when I get home from working on this tile job. they'll be okay. It's 35 right now, but it's gonna be 61 today. So it has been in the 50s and 60s every day. So it has been fantastically warm. Cold in the mornings, warm in the afternoons. Really weird for middle of January, but I'm not complaining because it means I can run the hose to everywhere. So I will have to siphon out the water because that was a full barrel. So yeah, we'll get that taken care of this afternoon. You can see down there that we did move those breeders too, and they're still where they're supposed to be, which there's a lot of change there. So we'll go into that detail when we get there. Feeders are over here. More beautiful sunrise. All right, guys, we're gonna keep going. Alrighty, so we're hopping past the feeder piglets real quick because I had to carry a bucket through them they've already been fed now, but we have to hop through them to get to these guys. I don't want to film them, they've already eaten, and then it'd be a nightmare. So we are, because then they just hound me all the way up here. We are in with Payday and his ladies. Hi, ma'am. So they got moved because their bale's pretty well done. So since everybody had pretty well run out of their bales, you can see the feeders are completely up. So it was just like, everybody needs moved to where they have a new bale, plain and simple. And this seemed to work. So now I've got my corner, right? Them to feeders and them to them. So we're pretty good. Like, this will work. They have tons of grass in here. So I'm not, like, that's kind of hard to see from back here, but there is a good amount of grass back there. It's all covered in frost right now. But yeah, they're over here. I think one thing, what's up, Crow? One thing to point out with these guys or discuss, and we can talk when we get to the feeders a bit more about it too. So, you know, we'd been lined up to have 9 sows this spring, farrow, or nine females farrow this spring, if we had kept Uno Dos, or Uno and Cero, and Cupcake. And we decided to go ahead and cull all 3 of those. So drop from 9 to 6 here, right? And a lot of that, the 2 of them was just because they're so ugly. And, you know, they'd had, the one had dismal litters and the other one was a jerk. Actually, no, it was the 2, the one who was a jerk also had a dismal litter. So either way, culling those 2 because they're terrible. Cupcake has a trash underline, probably gonna have a real smashed face, but it was gonna allow us to keep that Jody line. But at this point, honestly, like, we're really struggling to sell enough pork. We've had so few sales the last few months that it's kind of like, I can't, like, I've got a freezer full, no, I'm sorry, 4 freezers full of a little over 1,000 pounds of pork right now. I need to sell some pork before I can even process pigs, unless we do whole and half, which we're totally down for. We just haven't had anyone reach out for it. I'm probably gonna do a post about, you know, that, hey, we have whole and half. They are drastically larger than normal. You saw the hanging weights in that last video, last Farm Tour Tuesday. Not the one that will have just gone up at the same time as this one, but a prior one, right? So you'll have seen that they're quite large. So I'm probably gonna run a deal on them. So if you're local and you're interested in getting a deal on a lot of pork, reach out to me, or just wait and see when I post the post here in a day or two, because I have to do that. I've got to get rid of, I cannot feed all of these and move those little piglets out like I want. So we'll talk about that more when we get over there with them. The big deal with these guys is because of that, because I'm not moving as much pork as I would really like, right? I'm actually going to downsize again this spring. And really this whole pig Tetris thing right now has gotten into my head that, like, this is way more of a shuffle and cluster. Really, it's not necessary, oatmeal. More of a shuffle and cluster than I want. And I would like to actually see a bit more grass on the ground going into winter. So, which would have happened, right, if I didn't have an additional 6 big feeders out there. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut down this spring to 1 boar and 4 sows. So I need to decide out of my herd which 2 of these nicer ladies are gonna leave and which 4 get to stay. And of the 3 boars I now have, because we have Payday, we have Red, and then we have the little fella that we kept back out of Dottie, which of those 3 I'm going to keep? I am really strongly leaning towards the little fella, but the issue with keeping the little fella is that he'll be unproven this spring, which would mean I would rather wait 1 more season, right? And keep him this fall and drop down to 1. So maybe drop down to 2 this spring. and just sell one of these boars this fall. But again, that that really runs me into the issue of, if I keep that little fella, then I'd have to sell Donut, and I don't want to sell Donut. She is currently, now I know everybody loves Oatmeal and Biscuit, right? Everybody loves them because they're big, they're beautiful, they're muscly, they're gorgeous sows. But Donut is my best mama. She does by far and away the best job with her piglets. Her piglets are always beefy, there's always a bunch of them, and she keeps damn near all of them. But if I keep her, I shouldn't keep her son. I could line breed back, but here's the kicker. I don't want to line breed back to that. Not you all. If you've watched the IPVBA crowdcast talk that I did on line breeding, you know I'm not afraid of line breeding. We have several examples of line breeding on our farm that I have done and like. But, right, here's the big but. And I would be line breeding back to her, okay, which is good. But she's also a little smaller, and I might toy with that idea a little bit more, because she is seriously my best sow. But her build is not what I would like, and she dumps all of her effort into her babies, which then makes her a great mama, because they grow out chunkier than all the rest of mine, like muscly chunkier, but she is not muscly. So I guess her son could make up for some of that, but I don't know that I want to duplicate and pass on her genetics. And for all but the most serious people buying from me, that would be a no-go, right? So I've immediately taken one whole litter and downed it to mostly feeders and almost no breeders, like maybe one breeder a litter, and only if I could find someone who really understood what we were looking for in pigs. So that really cuts down my options. So I don't know about that. So I'm having to think on some heavy herd decisions. But the big kicker for that being, like I said, getting our rotation a little bit better, to where there's more grass for everybody going through winter, and having a little bit less impact in these areas right around the gates, just so there's less pigs. Because, right, the number of sows I have directly impacts the number of feeder gilts I have. And if I can't sell pork, then that means feeder gilts hang out longer, right? Or it just means I have more of them. That is a lot. We only had four sows out of the anticipated 8. Really? Out of the anticipated, no, that was 7. Out of the anticipated 7 farrow this fall. So even with that, like, we still have 9 piglets to feed out. So I've got to figure something out. Yeah, long-winded, sorry. I may edit some of this down for you, or I may just let you kind of get the full picture here of what I'm working through. So, all right, let's move over to the feeders and get them checked out real quick, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this video up. All it took was closing the gate, and they all started coming to me. They've already been fed. You can see they've got way all over them. This one is always on me. She is right up at me. Yeah. All right, come on. There's Cupcake. Hi, Cupcake. You see they have some stuff. There's really not much in here. But the reason for moving the feeders here, one, is they just need to move off theirs, right? They have no hay bale left anymore. So moving them over here means they have a hay bale. So that ensures that they do have some feed that's in the form of forage, right? Of course, they're still getting their grain and their whey. Hi. They've already guzzled down all of that. So, yeah, here we are with the feeders. Oh my gosh. And this is why I had to rush over and feed the others, so that you guys would stay off me. You don't need this bucket. There's nothing left in this bucket. I'm gonna toss this over the fence. Maybe they'll leave me a little bit more alone. Yeah. All right, so feeders. There are still 4 big uns, right, that are over 300 pounds, that one gal being over 400 pounds, right there, big chunk. And then the 2 cull sows that are the same age. They're from the same group as those 4 bigger ones, okay? And then the 5 smaller ones, right, which Cupcake is actually, they're a little bit younger than Cupcake, a good little bit, but they're still probably close to 200 pounds. It's hard to tell because these guys are drastically larger than them. You know, they're almost double that size. So even because we got the 400 pounder and the 350-ish pounders, 325s, whatever. But then these others are right up there. So they're almost ready to go. Like, then the next 2 months, they should get processed. Cupcake is already there. Cupcake is 250, according to tape weight. So like, I really need to, like, I should be free of pretty well all of these pigs within the next 2 months. But that means I have 11 pigs to try to deal with. And this is not a problem I've ever actually had to deal with. Normally, our stuff goes fine. And so it's not really a problem, right? Like, usually we have to push every time we have doubled most years, which meant we've had to like really push that last half so we can sell the amount we did the year before and it's never an issue. But then we have to push that last half. This year, I think we have finished out at the end of last year, because now it's January, right? But last year we did over 20, and that was a lot for us to do. Starting out, we had been doing, you know, the year before, like I said, we'd been doubling about every year here, the number of feeders we've been finishing out on farm. So this year was just a lot, and we're struggling with these last 4 really, and then 2 cull sows. So we'd gotten pretty dang close to getting rid of the amount that we had decided to raise. But now that 4 has carried over, and we've added 2 cull sows and the 5 to start out this year, which was only going to be 4, but our little guy that we thought had kyphosis, but actually doesn't look, he just looks chunky. Like he's fine. His spine is not as big of a deal. It's not a nice flat line, and you can see he's like hunched up, but it's because he's soaking wet, because that little fella, genius, got whey poured all over him because he jumped through the bucket while I was dumping, and then he took a run through this, and you can see it still has ice on the top. So he needs to go take a nap in his shelter, which has the back end busted off. This is my least favorite one. This was a discount one I got, and so I have a lot of repairs to do to this shelter, but they've been mostly sleeping in their hay bale. They've been in here for like 2-3 days now. So yeah, that's where we're at. If you're local and you want some pork and you've been following along, so you understand our farming practices, which I know is like the exact opposite of, if you're a farmer watching this, you know that's kind of the opposite of what Charlotte Smith pushes, is to stop pushing what your farm practices are and finding people that meet those ethics, but to be honest, and to push instead, like, you know, all of the other things that people, the lifestyle aspect of it, that, you know, the health, the cooking in the kitchen, and like, that's nice, and I enjoy that, but it's not, and we do that with the videos some, right? You do get to know me, you know me as a person, but to an extent, I want customers that care about what we value with our production methods, right? I want customers that care about regenerative ag and want to support this agricultural model, because there is a drastic difference between our pork that is raised regeneratively and pork that is raised in a dirt lot. Because let's face it, folks, even though I've got some patches of dirt in January, right, and into December and November there, right, like around the gates, around the fronts, I do take the effort to put straw, you can see it, hay, over bare spots as I can. Like, this is us making sure that our farm does a good job with the land that we have been given is a huge priority for me. And so for me, like, I want customers that value that. And maybe that's why I'm not selling as much pork, is because there's not as many folks out there that really, really care about the land and where their pork comes from. And of course, there's tons of other meat products, right? Like there's rabbit, there's chicken, there's beef, there's not stuff we raise, but I mean that like that stuff is out there. And I know pork isn't for everybody. I was just reading a book the other day that was talking about that there are 2 types of people. There are porcophiles and porcophobes. And my wife is always reminding me that those porcophobes exist out there. And for me, I love pork. Pork is the best meat. But it is what it is. So yeah, if you're out there and you fit that bill and you want to support this and keep seeing this going, then reach out and let me know. We've got tons of pork available. And I know a lot of people too, right? They don't like thinking of, that is the other big kicker, is my wife is always on me about advertising for our pork with pictures of our pigs out in the field, because she says nobody wants to see that. They don't want to connect the dots. And I know they don't. I know, right? Because I talk to a lot of those people. They don't want to know that this pig out in this field became their pork chop or their bacon. But again, That is because we are so disconnected with our food system. We are so pulled away from the fact that this is where your food comes from, okay? And you shouldn't be, okay? Like, you need to recognize that your pork chop comes from this, okay, out here, raised on pasture, even in January when there's not much. They're still given access to this. I do still work to rotate them, even if our rotations slow down. Or your option is pigs raised, even if you buy local, right? Your other option locally would be to get pigs raised in a dirt pen for their entire lives. Most of those pens are the size or smaller, okay, than our farrowing yards, which you've seen. They're less than 100 feet. Actually, I think they're 110 feet long and 25 feet wide. So, no, 70. They're 70 feet long. 70 feet long, 23 feet wide. That's how most folks are raising their pigs around here. So a group roughly this size, almost 11, or at least 3 to 4 minimum, would be raised in a space that size. Like, that is a lot of pork, okay? And that's not, you know, I want to say that that's not knocking pork being raised that way, but obviously I don't support that because I go through a lot of expense, a lot of effort on my part to not raise our pigs that way, to ensure that our entire 4 acres gets broken up and rotated, okay? And a lot of other folks do that. I think, like, through this and through the breed association and the registry and everything, I've got to know some amazing folks that agree with these practices and practice this on their farms. So there are tons of other pig farms across the US raising pigs like this. So I'm not saying that, like, oh, I'm the only one who does this, you should only buy from me because I do this. Like, no. Like, if you're in Springfield, here I am. If you are anywhere else, honestly, reach out and I will try to send somebody that's your way. Like, there are pig breeders that do this all over the country. I know people in many, many different states that are doing this, and even in Missouri. Like, if you're, I don't know if Jack Baelish, and if you watch this, if you're up towards northern Missouri, check out Jack Baelish. He raises his pigs like this and raises the same breed. So check out Jack. If you're in northern Missouri, up at Aloha Acres. Oh my gosh. If you're up in Iowa, check out Aaron Thomas. I guess Thomas Farmstead. Sorry, Aaron, if I got that wrong. If you're out in Kentucky, check out Three Daughters Farm, Paige Collette. If you're out in Washington, check out Laura Tome, out at Tome Grown Farm. Oh my God, like, I could just keep going. If you're over in Oklahoma, she doesn't sell pork very often, but you could get feeder pigs from her, or you might be able to work something out with her. She just doesn't have a processor around. I think she's getting one. You could check out Chantil Sniff of Sniff Acres if you're in Oklahoma, down in the southern corner towards Texas. If you're down in Texas, check out Chris Leahy or Jennifer Renee. I'm trying to think of Jennifer's farm's name. I'm sorry, Jennifer, I'm not remembering it. Chris Leahy is Rockin' 8 Farm, and he's on YouTube too here. So, like, there are so many folks doing this all over the country. So, like, find these people, support this ag, okay? I know this Farm Tour Tuesday drastically went off the rails here, but this is just kind of some stuff I'm going through. I'll probably do a video specifically on some of this that's not as long and drawn out at some point, but before I just continue to go off the rails here, right, because we kind of have, let's go ahead, and I don't know who is fighting. Let's go ahead and close this out. So, thank you to our Patreon supporters, Raymond and Ashley Hunter. Your guys' support every month seriously means a lot. I love our phone calls together. And beyond that, I've been getting a lot of phone calls lately from other folks too. I love chatting with you guys. We may need to, so I'm going to be adjusting how the Patreon goes. So keep an eye out for updates on that coming up, because I'm going to get rid of the $5 tier and I'm going to get rid of the $25 tier. We're going to make it the $10 tier and the $50 tier. The $50 tier is going to be pretty much what I think it is now. I need to relook through and adjust some stuff here, but it's going to be a once a month in-person video consultation with you about anything I can. Honestly, you just want to chat, we can just chat. But, like, there's a lot of things that people seem to enjoy talking with me about. I feel like I'm just constantly making mistakes, but people seem to think that they have stuff to learn from me. So they always call and ask me to talk. So this just gives me an opportunity to actually set some time, because usually when I do those phone calls with people, and Chantil, who calls me a bunch, or Raymond could tell you, any of them, that when you talk with me on the phone, It is me driving between jobs. Sorry, I pushed the end button on the record. I'd had it flipped around. So it's usually just me driving between jobs, or actively working on a job through earbuds, but my earbuds just broke. I can hear through them, so I can still listen to my podcasts, but I can't talk through them. The audio is not going through. So I'm not able to give you my full attention, right? It's me trying to also do math and not screw up somebody's, tile job or something, while being able to talk with you. So I want to be able to focus on folks a little bit more and be able to justify that in my time, right? Like this, it takes time. If I'm going to give up an hour or more of my day, I have to be able to justify it. We're too stinking busy, and I need to slow my life down a little bit. I do get that. But at this point in our life, like we're busy. I'm between multiple jobs right now that I'm trying to juggle. We're about to start our kitchen renovation this weekend, and we have the farm that I'm trying to get, all of this functional. So like life is just busy, and the association stuff, life's insane, right? So to squeeze out time, obviously, because I'm barely making it into a coffee shop to get these videos out to you guys on a timely fashion, right? So I want to make that a specific thing where it's like, yeah, you can go here, you can do this, and we can make this work. So that'd be the $50 tier. Then the $10 tier, I'm going to start, you'll still get the benefit of the call out in every episode and still get the, all your info down in the show description, for your social medias. And on top of that, that will be a group video chat once a month. So I will set time aside for everybody who's in the $10 tier to all get together, because I think you'll get as much benefit, and the $50 tier you'd be included in that too. Like you wouldn't, only get the one-on-one, you would also get this. So you'd get both tiers. But it will be everybody that is on that tier will get together, we'll coordinate. So it won't be the same time every month, because everybody has, flexible schedules. And as somebody who has tried to do, get groups of adults together for things for years now, I recognize how difficult that is. So we'll schedule it out about a month in advance for each month, and we will all attempt to get together, as many of us as possible each month, to just sit on a video chat and talk for 1 to 2 hours on anything needed. Farming, just what's going on in your life, like what could we as a group kind of help work through, what problems is your farm facing that maybe we can all brainstorm and kind of figure out. Just build a community around, I'd like to build a community around our farm with that, and that education aspect that we really enjoy. So hopefully that kind of takes off and gives you guys enough value for $10 a month, less than the cost of a bag of feed. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions or thoughts on that, let me know. Beyond that, let's go ahead and wrap this up, because I know that we're probably broaching well over 20 minutes, and I will probably have a really low retention rate on this. I bet we average 30% of people make it through, 33 or 34 or something, make it through the full length of our videos. With one this long, I'm going to bet that we get like a 20% at least, if not lower. So for those of you that make it to the end, let me know you made it to the end. Let me know you heard this. So drop it in the comments below. I really appreciate the community that we do already have. All of you guys that drop stuff in the comments below, super, super appreciate you. You know who you are. I can call out some of you, but honestly, folks, I haven't had coffee yet this morning, and I know I will miss so many of you. So I don't want to do that. I don't want you to think that you aren't valued because I forgot your name this early in the morning, because odds are I'm still thinking of you, still know you. Just don't want to get your name wrong. So, all right. You guys have a great week. I'll try to get this up as fast as possible.